Day 5 then, the last session for the awesome oscillator to be able to prove itself. Let's hopefully claw back at least some profits. Getting it all back seems extremely unlikely at this point, just over one session. So what would some of these recent trades look like? Not good on the Euro Aussie dollar. You'd have had a short around about here, and if you didn't get knocked out, then you would have actually closed it right up here anyway. That would have been poor. And then similarly over here, that awesome oscillator is getting you in right at the very bottom before it launches up. This is a bit of a wild card period. Not sure how that would have gone. Still not good there. What about over on our New Zealand dollar, Swiss franc? That one's not too bad actually. That one did get you in at the start of a run up there for about 13 pips or so. It either would have been a scratch for nothing gained, nothing lost, or maybe a little bit gained. We wouldn't have been in on this one though, because price hadn't closed across the average at that point. So this big drop, we would have ignored that, although that's potentially a stop loss getter anyway. Pound yen, it doesn't look as if we would have been in that run up either, because price was still below the average here where it closed. It did poke above it, but it closed below. And so this run up here, about 16, 17 pips, we would have missed that. No bueno. Fortunately, we just missed this signal. We would have been in here. And so we'd see this immediate reversal. Wow, 25 pip reversal there over an hour and a half. So very fortunate to not be in that one. Not a lot of love for us there on the Asian session if we had been trading that. Let's check out the economic calendar and see what's in there. Happy Brazilian Independence Day to all the Brazilians. Always bullish on an Independence Day from a colonial empire. What have we had though? 2:01 AM, very strange time to release a number there for the Great British Pound. It's the British Retail Consortium retail sales year on year. Terrible, actually. They expected 29.1% and they got 1.5. I could forecast it better, probably. Nah, I shouldn't put that in. Don't put that in. You don't like those, yeah. Household spending in Japan down a little bit, 0.9% as expected. Chinese trade balance at 6:06 AM. Again, a very interesting time to release it. Lower than expected, but still very much net positive. Australian interest rates there held at 0.1%. No surprise there. And that would explain all this volatility here. What time was that? 7:30. So let's just have a look here. Yeah, 7:30 right there. And that's exactly what this volatility was. It's always strange when you see this wild volatility, like people just didn't expect interest rates to be held. Yeah. Swiss unemployment rate 2.9% against forecast 3%. Can't argue with 2.9%. It's a solid rate. Bit of a beat in the Eurozone for Germany on industrial production month on month and year on year. The month on month 1% against 0.1 and the year on year 5.7 against negative 1.6. Also at 9 AM we had the Halifax house price index month on month and year on year from the Great British Pound. 0.7% month on month for the increase and 7.1% on the yearly. That is quite an increase. And we saw nationwide recently, that was around about 11% I think, so yeah. That's all that's happened so far. 12 o'clock, we got big numbers coming out of the Eurozone as a whole, employment change quarterly and yearly, and GDP quarterly and yearly too. There is a chance that we see some volatility off the back of that, although because of the way the Eurozone is spread, we do see less on the euro than we do on other currencies, like if the pound were releasing their employment numbers. But we'll watch out for those numbers at 12 o'clock. And then 12:05, the Centre for Economic Research, the Economic Sentiment Indicator. It's where a lot of insurance companies and banks, finance companies, they get asked about their views on the economy, how they're feeling about it out there at the minute. So we could see a little bit of price sway on the euro again, but it could also just be baked into this. They're only 5 minutes apart with the GDP and employment change. Should be interesting to see what the impact is though. Those are all the ones that are going to affect us. There's nothing North American on at all today. 12:30, we've got South African GDP quarterly and yearly. That's the Rand. And then lastly, 5 o'clock in New Zealand, it is the measure of the price of dairy products over there by the global dairy trade. So just one major time slot for us to watch out for, 12 and 12:05 in that area there. If we're near to a trade, for example, if price comes down and this comes down as well, the awesome oscillator, and crosses below zero right as 12 o'clock is about to hit, that potentially won't feel great, but potentially it might feel really good as well. What else are we looking for? New Zealand dollar, Swiss franc. If price can get up, awesome oscillator can get up, head above the moving average and the zero line on the AO at the same time. Potential for a nice entry there. Still though, probably going to be a while. If we're looking at any, it's the pound Japanese pen over here on the right. Let's zoom in on this one and we can see We're coming up now 5 minutes until the close of this candle, which will show a zero line crossover in the next candle. If that one closes at 11:15, 20 minutes from now, we'll be in a buy trade here on the pound yen. Not sure how I feel about that, as it is going to test this resistance level and we could get in right at the top. Pound yen certainly didn't treat us well yesterday in our opening trade. But if the awesome oscillator sees it as bullish, then we go in as bullish. There's the close then, so we see the cross. Very likely we'll be in 15 minutes without a strong reversal. Definitely wouldn't mind seeing a red candle though now. Don't want to be right at the very top here. Really don't. Just a minute before the close now, and this has run up quite a bit in this candle. I'm glad it's come back down, but we are still very green. It's just making us less green than we were. Let's pull up our ATR. So it looks as though it's going to be a 9 pip ATR, which is 18 pips to our stop loss. There we go. There's the close. You can see our risk on screen now. And there's our buys. Let's put in our stop loss and take profit. So we've got 180 points there and 90 points there. There we go. We just need it to get to that area. It actually already went there, you see. So that high there actually poked through. If it could just get to that once more, that would be amazing. With this trade, let's set it here. 180 pips for the stop loss. And let's set a trailing stop loss at the 180. And we'll manually move it a little bit as we go. Let's just have a quick look at our other charts to make sure nothing major going on there. These might be to watch, you know, though, in the next few periods. Euro Aussie dollar coming down, and with a few red candles, that will cross below the moving average, as well as the awesome oscillator crossing below zero. Vice versa for the New Zealand dollar, Swiss franc. Price continuing its rise here. If it gets above the average and the awesome oscillator, well, we got ourselves a trade then. But let's get back into our Great British Pound and Japanese Yen, where we actually do have a trade right now. Bit of profit at the moment, very nice to see. Here we go, getting very close to the stop loss there. Just a bit more selling pressure and it will kick it over there. We're about 1.5 periods into our trade. That is it, there it goes. And that is a maximum loss for us in record time by the awesome oscillator for us so far. 21 minutes, that's all we were in there. We had a 2 times ATR stop loss, and 2 periods after we entered, or 1.5 periods after we entered, it did make it through there. Yeah, not a good sign. That's even more money now we've got to make back. I wonder if this is good that we got out earlier, or if we do see a reversal. Yeah, obviously pretty disappointing though to see the awesome oscillator get us in at the exact worst time, really. Actually, that's not true. That's not true, because this would have been the exact worst time here, but it still would have been a 1% loss all the same, as price continues to drop down heavily here. Let's see these other charts. Yeah, the Euro Aussie dollar and the New Zealand dollar Swiss franc both now moving away from the entry signals. It's very possible that we actually get a sell signal here from the pound yen. This is low momentum on the awesome oscillator, and if it keeps coming down, particularly if it stays around about this support level and consolidates for a bit, there's a good chance we'll get a zero line crossover before it decides to either reverse back up or, in the unlikely fashion, continue a downward trend. We do get that zero line cross on the awesome oscillator here, 11:30 on the Great British Pound Japanese Yen pair. If it closes like this in 15 minutes, then we will be in a sell trade. 30 seconds until the close here. Let's get that ATR up. Currently at 10.1 pips, so that'll be 20.2 to our stop loss. Our risk is calculated on screen now. There we go. How do we feel about these ones? Mixed. I'm sort of expecting a price bounce, but we haven't seen a trend in a while, so maybe we do get lucky now. Let's set our stop loss and take profit. So here we go, 202 and half of that for the profit, 101. And on this one, 202, and we'll set the trailing stop loss at 202. There it is. Let's just have a quick look at those other charts. Euro been getting stronger on the left-hand side here. So again, moving further from an entry signal. We've still got those numbers coming out at 12 o'clock for them. Could bring it back down if it's particularly weak for the euro across the board. Poor sentiment perhaps. And New Zealand dollar Swiss franc not doing much at the moment, not super volatile. Did come back down from that move, and now it's sort of just hovering, so could go either way, but probably a while into the signal there. Let's hone back in on our pound yen, where we can see price going straight back up towards that stop loss of ours. Surprisingly here, price moving to our favor, about halfway to the take profit level at the moment. Back it comes though. Let's get onto the tri-chart setup so we can see these numbers coming for the EU. That's employment and GDP quarterly, yearly, and then in 5 minutes the Centre for Economic Research in Germany, the economic sentiment indicator. What's their economic sentiment like in the financial world there? There's our figures then. Employment change in the Eurozone quarterly, 0.7% actual against 0.5% forecast. Yearly, 1.8 against 1.8. GDP quarterly, 2.2 against 2.0. And yearly, 14.3 versus 13.6. So not too shabby against expectations. Still though, it's not like a full throttle recovery over there. Not really seeing much increase in volatility or volume off the back of these numbers. Coming in as expected. As I say, people generally not that fussed about trading Eurozone numbers because of how many different countries they cover. 12:05 then, here comes the economic sentiment. And these are coming in as big misses compared to the forecast. Sentiment indicator in Germany, they had it 52.1. It was about half of that, 26.5. So they didn't even forecast them to be that optimistic, and they are really not optimistic. Yeah, poor conditions according to the financial sector in Germany. Their economic situation as well, there was 31.9 against a forecast of 47.6. And then even Euro-wide, way out, 31.1 versus 52.2 predicted. Poor numbers there for the economic outlook in Germany and Europe, but still not really seeing any volatility or volume increase on the chart at the moment. So with all that clear, let's get back onto this British pound yen, where our trade is. It's still hovering just around our entry price there. We're a little bit in profit and a little bit in loss now. Just about to roll over 1 o'clock then. 1 hour and 15 minutes in the trade so far, pretty much entirely around our entry price. Real move towards the take profit level here. Just a few more pips and we could get there. And there it goes. Wowza. Holy moly. Actually getting a trade that does take that 1 times ATR. Whew. I'm impressed. So now we can change this and we can cut that in half right there to 101. So now that's 1 times ATR. We still have got this trading stop loss in. So if we get 2 times ATR in favor, this will be removed and it will automatically at that point turn to a trading stop loss where every time it ticks forward, so too does the trading stop loss. Good stuff. Wasn't expecting that, to be fair. It's getting very close to losing all faith entirely in the awesome oscillator. So it's going to claw back a little bit of my trust there, but still a long way to go. Let's see if we can get that trading stop loss up here and get some guaranteed profit for the trade. At the moment, we're just looking at a chalk off, apart from maybe a little bit of loss on commission. We want that guaranteed profit. Let's get there. And there we go, folks. That is the trading stop loss kicking in right there. Our white whale has finally come. We are in guaranteed profit for this trade. And it just goes to show perseverance. We traded for 4 days straight and we didn't have a trade that was in profit. But here we are, day 5, and the awesome oscillator coming through for us here. Even if price completely reverses and bumps off this stop loss here, we still take profit. Price continuing to the good here on our trade as nothing else goes on these other charts still. So we're all in on the pound yen at the minute. Let's get some more lows. If we can get this price even low, get this trading stop loss ticking, get ourselves into some serious gains. At the moment, we need this to get to about $430 to wipe off all of our losses so far on this strategy. I'm believing that it can happen. There come these lows and the trading stop loss does move with it. Definitely in some comfortable profits now. Yeah, look at that move. That is really nice. And the stop loss is going to bump here. There it is. There's the bump there. A lot of selling pressure coming here. It's exactly what we want to see. Really nice. Just gone 2:45 now. Price had been ranging for the last 45 minutes, a little bit more. Now it's found new lows again. Hopefully let's get another red one here as this stop loss advances more in our favor. Let's have a look at the other charts, and nothing for us on the euro Aussie dollar. But if we have a look at this New Zealand Swiss franc, what we are seeing is a zero line crossover on the awesome oscillator here. Assuming it is going to close above zero, we would need for price to get all the way above the average for us to be able to get in on that one. So it seems unlikely at the moment, but not impossible. There's a big green candle there if they had another one of those. could close above. So we'll certainly be checking in on that one at 3 o'clock. But let's get back onto our winning trade at the moment, the pound yen. New lows again for us on our trade here. Price does pull back a bit, but our stop loss has advanced and we are well past the initial take profit point there for our first sub trade. So a lot of profits to be had out of this one. Let's see how that New Zealand dollar Swiss franc is finishing up. Yeah, it does look as though it is going to close above zero, but price is not going to make it anywhere near to getting above that moving average. So we won't have a signal there by the look of it. And so there it does close without giving us a signal. Let's get back onto that pound yen chart. Price really nearing our stop loss here, 3:38 in the afternoon. There it does just trigger, it ticks over there. That is our stop loss, so it does go, but that was a nice trade. And we managed to eke out more profits with this trading stop loss than with that regular stop loss trade. Let's take a look at that on the history. Pretty near to 2 times ATR in the end is where we got. It did stretch out even further, but that is the risk you take. You don't really expect to ever get out right at the bottom with this kind of stuff. With the trend stop loss, there's always going to be some form of retracement there. Pretty happy to have that trade though. Finally a positive one, finally a bit of profits, and it actually gets to demonstrate what this thing is meant to do. It does seem like rare circumstances that it actually happens, but that is the intent of the awesome oscillator there, to try and find some trends. Pretty pleased with that. Nothing going on the other charts at the moment. Price coming down on the euro Aussie dollar. Again, if the AO crosses below zero and price crosses the moving average, there's a possible trade entry there, but for now doesn't look like we're going to be seeing one soon without some extreme movements. 4:30 here now. Not much going on with these charts. Don't really see a signal on the horizon. We might get a zero line crossover on the euro Aussie dollar over here on the left, but it looks like that would happen before the price got anywhere near the moving average. So not looking good there. Price coming up pretty sharp on the Great British Pound yen on the far right. Again, that could be the likeliest signal. If it boosted up a couple more candles like that, could end up back on a buy signal over on this chart. But at the moment, yeah, nothing really happening for us. And the price of the Great British Pound has been pumping up against the Japanese yen, almost above the moving average now. This awesome oscillator looking to get above zero. It just really needs one more solid green candle there, and that is a full entry signal. So there could still be a little bit of action left in the day. And we see we did get the zero line crossover. However, price came back down the last 2 periods over here. That pound yen selling off again against the pound. So no entry signal for us there. I do think at that stage, 5:30 now, we are going to leave the session there for the day. So that is the end of our final session. This one doesn't seem to have gone too well, but let's check in the journal just to make sure of that. Here is that journal then. Let's scroll down just a little bit so we can see all of our trades here. There is that winner. That is our golden star right there. The only shimmering light. There's a touch of green there. That was no profit, no loss. Everything else, complete loss. So we traded 8 trades over 5 days. So you're looking at 1 or 2 a day and a total loss of $427.79. So that is the bottom line, and it does not look good. Starting balance of $8,220 down to a closing balance of $7,832. We started the strategy first day with 2 losing trades there. They were both maximums in that rangy pound yen. Then we got 1 trade the day after on the euro Aussie dollar. Managed to snag up those profits quick, but couldn't get a full trend going. Session 3, no trades at all, so nothing recorded in here for that. Session 4, 3 straight losing trades, 1 on each of the currency pairs. That was our worst day right there, our low point. Day 5 did get a little bit worse with these at the beginning, but we end in glory. Overall though, very disappointed and hurt by the awesome oscillator zero line crossover entry signals. And you can see they leave us bleeding here out of our account. Not a good strategy based on performance. Let's take it to our final thoughts. Last chance now for us to express our opinion on this. Obviously, based on the results we've seen, it didn't work well. Of the 5 sessions we traded the strategy, the best session was the one where we didn't get any signals all day. So what do we think is most at fault here with the strategy? I'm going to have to pin a lot of that blame on the awesome oscillator. The zero line crossover did not give us good entry signals here as it responds far too slowly. When the price is in a range, which is pretty often, the awesome oscillator keels over and tells you to get in a move just as it's ending. You're then stuck with with a trade that is instantly reversing against you. If you don't have a money management system in place, your psychology comes into play, and that's where things can get difficult. Frustration, anger, confusion, margin call. As you've seen, only 2 of our 8 trades were even able to make it 1 times ATR value in favor from our entry price. The other 6, however, were able to reverse for twice that distance. But were our actual entries executed through the indicators the way that those indicators were always meant to be used? Traders may feel that this strategy is going to work better on a higher time frame like the daily. Yeah, it is possible that it works better, but is it going to work? Based on this testing, I would say still probably not. The zero line crossover simply doesn't seem feasible for making consistent money over time. And there's a lot of you now that I'm sure are saying, well, it's not meant to be used much as a zero line crossover. In his book, Mr. Bill talks about the saucer strategy and the Twin Peaks strategy. And you're right, those entry signals could be worth a go too. We haven't tried those ones today. What I will say though is that nearly every financially irresponsible 21-year-old that sets up on a trading platform for the first time and decides that this inaccurately named clickbait indicator known as the awesome oscillator could actually be worth giving a go, they are going to see and trade on a zero line crossover, because that is what is thrown in their face as the key part of the indicator. Of course, I'm sure if confronted about it, the defenders would start to ramble on about profittunity and the use more than just the crossover, yada 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 yada. Alright, the money management wasn't terrible, but I'm a bit mixed on it all. I don't think it's worth much to change the take profit because it barely got there at 1 times ATR value already. But maybe you want to tighten up that stop loss. I do think there's a fair argument for removing the trailing stop loss though. Even after it grabbed us a bit more profits on today's winning trade, it inevitably always cuts some price off at the end. So if you're using something like a ratio, you're more likely to get out at the top or get out at the bottom, because a trailing stop loss, it's never going to go all the way. By definition, it is going to trail back. So even though the money management isn't awful, I'm going to say it, something here feels like it could be improved upon. At least we managed to keep our risk low at the 1% capital per trade. It means that we didn't destroy our account with all our losses, but we certainly lost enough to put us off trading this strategy anymore. That is it. If you do want more information, you may find a bit of that in the video description. Thank you for watching. This is Project Trade, and I am the man with the iron chart. There will be more.